Welcome to the Rewild Gear podcast. Modern life, society, and responsibilities have domesticated us. But now it's time to rediscover your adventurous side. Whether that's camping, hiking, hunting, fishing, or just spending time in the great outdoors, this is the podcast for you. Join us as we get back to the wilderness and rewild.
Welcome, everyone, to the Adventure Made podcast. Your hosts this week will be Adam and David. Let's get started. Welcome to the Rewild Gear podcast.
Welcome, everyone.
This is David.
And Adam.
Typically, Seth is hosting this, and he is currently traveling. So we are going to do a little podcast today. So you want to kick us off, Adam?
Yeah, so I think the last podcast was Seth doing a little solo cast and talking about the company and kind of the origins of it all. We're going to take a little different route today and focus on some other stuff, things probably we have not talked about yet. We, as you all know, we are all husbands and fathers, have kids, and we do our best to get them outside. So we're going to talk about some of the rewilding we do as families with our children, getting them outside and in the great outdoors and what that kind of looks like. Any initial thoughts, Dave?
Well, I'll preface it with, so between the two of us, I guess we have, 7 kids?
Yep. Yeah, that sounds right.
We're both pretty busy, but having this as an important part of our lives, it's something we try to do on a daily basis. So one of the things, we both love to do, Adam, is camping with our families. And so what are some tips that you found that help when you're preparing for a camping trip with kids? And what are some things that you found that work well?
Yeah, so I would say, when it comes to children, the prepping beforehand, whatever that, if it's a road trip, if it's an outdoor camping trip, whatever it is, prepping the kids beforehand usually goes a long way and helps that trip or whatever the event is be a lot more successful, just in general. So
yeah,
some of that would be like giving them a heads up a few days ahead of time. So my kids are 5, so the twins, and then William 3. So they're understanding things enough to comprehend all the things that we need to get done. So it's a matter of, all right, let's get your guys' backpacks. Let's fill them up with the stuff that you're going to bring. And it might be like we limit their toys when we're going outside. So, all right, you get to pick one toy to bring with you and then throw in, a hat, maybe a flannel shirt, sunglasses, whatever, so let them get excited about them packing their bags and then having them help me pack the rest of the gear. And then pack in the van and getting everything together. That usually helps them kind of put everything together and understand what's really happening beforehand.
Yeah. So you let them be a kind of a big part of it and kind of take their own ownership of assembling some of their own things and really being involved with the whole process, it sounds like.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, as much as possible. I just find the more that they can understand what's happening and be involved with it, the more excited they are and the easier the rest of the trip ends up going.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have a favorite style of camping with kids? So like backyard camping or maybe a close park. Have you guys tried any kind of backcountry camping at all yet, or?
We have not gone too far. There's usually some form of running water within a nearby walking distance. With the kids the age they are, there's still a lot that we have to take in consideration. I mean, we still have diapers we got to deal with, and the youngest gets filthy and a mess. It's sticky. So no, we usually do. Typically, I'd say a picnic table around. Unfortunately, still, but no, it's I do like to make the campsite situated and cozy and make it kind of like home a little bit,
Nothing wrong with that.
That's yeah. I spend a lot of time making it as comfortable as possible for the kids.
Yeah, that's good. That's one thing I've found with, so our oldest is 7, and then the youngest is 2. And camping with them, the preparation, like you said, I think is one of the most important parts. So making sure ahead of time you have everything. So you have all your water, and obviously this varies depending on where you're camping at, but all your water, lots and lots of snacks. And then, like you said, Adam, having them be a part of it and letting them pack maybe their backpack with a couple toys, or sometimes we'll get a new toy at the dollar store, like a frisbee or something, and just letting them have it be kind of a big deal. We're going camping, we're gonna be cooking outside, we're gonna be sleeping in a tent, and really kind of building it up. And I mean, they love it. Any chance we get, we try to go. So we were actually camping on a Saturday night with some friends, and it was the same thing. George and I, he was so excited about going, and the preparation. He's like, Dad, all right, what do we need to get? I've already got my backpack packed. Here's everything I have in it. I've got my pocket knife, and I've got my boots, and he had pretty much everything. So I didn't even really look in his backpack. I was like, so you have this, and this? He's like, yeah, I've already got it all. I was like, okay, well, I think we're good. Let's go. So and I think the cool thing is, it's, as he's getting older, it's getting easier to do these kinds of things. So, I think when he's, maybe 10, 11, 12, we'll be able to do some more, backcountry trips. He even said the other day, he's like, so I need a bigger backpack. That way we can go, on a big long trip.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, awesome. Cool. Yeah, we'll get you one. So, and then Maryfield, they're kind of getting more into it. Yeah, just enjoy being outside and playing in the dirt. And yeah, it's been fun.
Well, I just remember George at deer camp last year. George last year when he was 6 at deer camp.
Oh, yeah.
He was a trooper. He was getting up early.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd stay out there hunting for, hours on end, and it was like very, still, and paid attention, and was like all about it. He just loved being out there with us.
Yeah, he loves it. Yeah, he absolutely loves it, which is awesome. He's been talking about deer camp probably the last 2 months already.
Yeah.
Like, how long do we have until it's deer camp? So yeah, which is awesome. I think that's one of the coolest things, instilling that in them at such a young age. Yeah. So it's cool to see it start trickling down. Yeah. So what are some ways that we get our kids outdoors? What are some ways that you and Mallory kind of get the kids outdoors, get them back into nature? What are some things that are practical ways that, if it's dads or moms listening to this, that they can use and implement?
Yeah. So I do think, depending on your location where you live, varies as to what that will look like. Being in Texas, summers are very hot and humid. So, we're in the pool a lot. So we're outside a lot, but it's usually water related. Whether that's some lake or river, right, or swimming pool, and I don't know. Even for me, it's been an adjustment being out in Texas. It does get hot, and the kids they got to take it in intermittent periods of time, But I'd say summertime, it's something water related, whether that's splash pads or swimming pools. And then come fall time, winter time, when it starts cooling off, we end up doing a few camping trips usually. We're definitely outside more, just on a daily basis. Riding bikes, going on walks, playing out in our backyard. There's a couple little nature preserves in the area that plan on getting the boys to this fall, actually. And then also we'll have, being in Texas, if it drops to 60 degrees at night, it's time for a fire.
Absolutely.
So I have a lot of fires with them in the winter. in fall time for sure.
Yeah.
So at their age, those are the main ways of getting them.
Do you let them help build the fires?
Yeah, no, I do. So I'll let them like occasionally I'll use a lighter still, but a lot of times I'm just using a ferro rod. But I'll like let them hold that and show them how it works and teach them about that. And then I'm letting them throw the sticks in and whatever we're burning, let them throw it in there. And it's a constant learning for all of them, you know.
Yeah.
You teach them about the smoke and how the fire pit gets hot, and you know, keeping a distance and not touching certain things, and you know, all that. It's fun as they get older because they really understand the concept of it all and what they shouldn't be doing.
Right. Might find out the hard way at times.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. We take a similar approach with. But one of the things we'll do is also do some videos of different ways to start fires.
Oh, nice.
And then just some different books to look through. And there's something called a Dakota fire where you basically dig out a tunnel. So you have a hole on this side and then a hole on this side. And it's kind of a cool way to build a fire. You can, it vents the fire really well. And so I remember it was last year during the fall time, we were practicing building those, and the kids just had fun with it because they were digging holes and stuff like that. And then they were learning, you know, some basics of fire, you know, oxygen being a huge, or, you know, an element of it that you have to have. And so just trying to incorporate those things.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I love about the fall too. I mean, it's so easy to get outside during the fall. Well, obviously Texas is a little bit different, but here in Kentucky, getting all the different seasons, fall is just such a great time to really take advantage of being outdoors and, you know, building the fires and camping, and I don't know, just the chill in the air. It's exciting. It's a super fun time for sure.
Yeah. It kind of just sets a mood for outdoors.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. Talking about the fire, what we've talked about this a little bit before, but introducing knives to your kids or our kids, and kind of respect for firearms. What have you thought much about that, or kind of what approach you guys take?
Yeah, and so I remember growing up, and our dad had guns and knives, and he'd bring them out and let us see them and touch them, look at them. We never really shot them much until we got older.
Yeah.
But we at least knew of them and knew that they, you know, had the potential to be very powerful.
Yeah.
And I've kind of taken that same concept. So occasionally I'll bring out, like if I get a new gun or something, I'll show them it and teach them how to be, and just kind of explain, like, you don't ever touch this by yourself. If you ever see one, you come get me. You don't touch it. And, you know, you tell them basically treat it with respect, you know, and always assume it's loaded and so on. You know, I don't, this is a personal opinion. I mean, but everybody's going to have their own opinion about this, but I don't think that there's too early of an age to start teaching them about firearms and knives.
Yeah.
But that's just my own personal opinion, because I think the sooner you start teaching them, it'll build as they're growing, and they can start putting things together and connecting the dots and realizing what it is and the potential it has for good and bad.
Yeah.
Like last year when I brought the antlers home and the deer skin from the deer I shot, they were like connecting the dots from a firearm, a deer, here's the skin, and then the meat as well, and putting it all together, and just seeing them do that was huge. You know, making that connection.
Yeah, that's cool.
In their little 4-year-old brains, yeah. So knives, I mean, I bring out knives pretty often actually, and I'll lay them all out sometimes. Like the other day, well, it was probably a couple weeks ago, I brought out all my knives, laid them out, and I was like, all right, the 3 older ones anyway. I was like, all right, everybody pick your favorite knife. And it was really interesting because they all had completely different tastes of knives. So they all picked their first favorite knife.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And I was like, all right, everybody pick your second favorite knife. Yeah, so they all went up to, I think, 3 or 4 of their favorite knives, the ones that they want when they get old enough. I was like, all right, it's good to know.
That's awesome. Did they fight over any of them?
No, actually, it's really interesting. They're all pretty good at like picking different things from what the other one wants usually.
Nice.
So yeah, they all had actually completely different styles or likes of the different knives.
That's funny.
So yeah, and then just letting them see them and even handling them with supervision and teaching them how sharp and how dangerous they can be. Actually, so Caspian the other day, it was around the same time I was showing him all the knives. I think I left a couple of knives on the table and I walked away and he grabbed one of them and went outside with one of them. He ends up cutting his finger on one of the knives, which is a good learning experience for him too, to see like, I'm not just telling you these things, it's actually real, like they can hurt.
Yeah.
So I think just
connecting the dots.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think the more you can get them in front of some of these things and really talking to them about it, the more it'll make sense as time goes on. And obviously keeping these things out of reach when you're not with them.
Yeah.
Keeping them in safe places.
Right. Yeah. I remember someone talking about that, and they were talking about how, kids are so curious, and sometimes that's what gets them in trouble. Right. And so, kind of taking away that curiosity from an early age can, I think, be an important thing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. No, but what I was going to say is, so we have like the kitchen knives, and we also have these tiny little, very dull knives that we let the boys use. They're not even sharp. It's just like a little piece of metal into like a wooden handle. So it teaches them kind of how to use a knife. But there was a sharp knife today on the cutting board, and Caspian grabs it and starts cutting a cracker and just going to town with it. So I definitely have to watch him a little closer than the other ones.
Yeah. A little more curious. I remember talking to, I have a buddy that is a retired police officer for, I think 25, 30 years. And I remember him talking about gun safety. And I think I asked him, being a police officer, what was your approach with, teaching your kids about, firearms and gun safety and kind of introducing them to that world. And I remember him saying that he did it at a young age, but he told his boy, he said, "This will make you bleed." He said, so like you have to respect it. And it kind of like what you were talking about, if you find one, if you're at a friend's house, you let us know, you don't mess with it. And the whole thing, you never point this at anything, you don't intend to shoot, hand off the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I thought that was interesting, him saying, teaching him, this will make you bleed, because I think often kids associate blood with, something that wasn't supposed to happen. So kind of making that correlation and letting them know, just the seriousness of the thing. I thought that was kind of interesting, his approach with it. And same with knives. I mean, I can remember, turning 7 growing up and getting a pocket knife, and that was a big deal. We talked a lot about, knife safety and how to use it, and it just being a big milestone, and then turning 10 and getting the actual fixed blade and just kind of progressing, and, but just still having that respect for the blade, and, understanding that this, if not used properly or correctly, it can cause great harm. But I think the respect and understanding of the knife and firearm is extremely important for him at a young age.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah. Here's one. We jotted down a few things we want to cover. Favorite excursions with the family?
Maybe our last camping trip, actually. It was actually like it was a perfect location. It was right on the water, a river. It was shaded. This was the last year, I believe. an open field nearby.
Oh, cool.
And so when we go camping, we typically go for 2 nights because the amount of prep work and getting out, like one night, it's just not worth it. And the kids need like at least a good 12 hours to get even adjusted to whatever we're doing, wherever we're going. So yeah, it actually worked out really well. Kids loved it. It was a good time away from home, a way to disconnect and reconnect. And as these boys get older, I'll start doing more with them and getting them out for longer periods of time and more isolated into nature as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, those are great memories to make. I think
you have one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, I think some of my best memories as a child are camping. Our favorite excursions we've taken, golly, I would say it's been, maybe it was last year or the year before, we did a family camping trip, and similar to what you were saying, Adam, it's just getting away from kind of the mundane, the everyday thing. And I think we even just stayed at one night. It was a quick trip, but it was a pretty kind of deserted area. It's kind of off the beaten path, but I mean, it was so much fun. The kids absolutely loved it, and it was gosh, it was probably in October, and so it was a little bit chilly, and yeah, just a great time. I mean, pictures will pop up on my iPhone periodically. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was like such a great trip.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Even though it was a short one. Yeah, just anytime we can get out there, it's always fun, always rewarding, to say the least. Do you have any new pieces of gear that help with camping with kids or family camping trips that you would recommend?
Yeah, so I did get the slick bag from Kafaru, which will be just having another sleeping bag in general for our family.
That's a good one.
And then also, I've never used a sleeping pad until our trip to Montana. Like, I've just never done one, and so having that,
okay,
again, adding that to the tent when the whole family's in there, 4 kids and my wife, we need a lot of bedding, a lot of sleeping gear.
Yeah.
And so, those 2 pieces will be huge. Yeah. I think those are the latest pieces that I've gotten, though.
Okay, cool.
That will make a big difference for family camping trips, for sure.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you got anything lately?
I would say, as funny as this is, but chairs for all the kids. Little camp chairs.
Oh, yeah. No, actually, we have those as well. They're huge, yeah.
Yeah. Typically, we would maybe bring one less, or just bring a blanket or something, and then, some of the kids would be fighting over who gets the chair. So, yeah, bringing a chair for each one, I would say, has been a big win for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Big win.
Here's another question in regards to conservation, environment. How do you do some of that at home and introduce some of that to your kids? Just like taking care of the planet and nature and the wild, I guess.
Yeah.
What does some of that look like for you guys?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I would say one of the big things that we do is we try to do a garden every year. We do raised beds.
Okay.
And the kids absolutely love it. So getting to see it from, building the raised beds, to getting the soil in the raised beds, to actually planting. We did some basically seed starters. So letting them see the whole process and help them understand what it takes to actually grow food. And, once you actually get it growing, and making sure you're watering it and weeding it, just a phenomenal thing for kids to see. And they really took part in it, and they were so proud when we actually, were able to grow stuff, and they're like, oh, there's that pepper we planted. It's finally out, and then being able to eat it, it very much like hunting when you, harvest an animal, the whole process. so rewarding. I mean, they love it, and they go and check on the garden every day, and be responsible for watering it and helping with it. And I remember we had someone on the podcast, and I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but I remember him saying, if you could do one thing for the environment, he said, grow some of your own food, do a garden and grow some of your own food, grow some vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, start there and then expand. And I thought that was really great advice because it's so simple, but I think people are starting to do it more now. At least I hope they are. But I thought it was so simple and so practical and something that you can totally incorporate into, your kids and kind of what they're learning. So I would say that's kind of the big thing. But another thing is just teaching them to have a great respect for the land. We were in Florida recently, and George and I went for a run on the beach a couple mornings. And one of the things that we did while we were running and on the beach, we were just picking up trash. And he really started to understand, there's all this trash that we're seeing, but we have a responsibility to help take care of, no matter where we are. We don't live in Florida. And so even though we're in Florida and visiting, still being good stewards of, of where we're at. And so it was a cool lesson. We threw the trash out when we got back, and, hopefully took something good away from it. So just trying to instill some of that in them. If we're out at the soccer field, just picking up trash if we see it on the ground. Little things like that, I think, go a long way, because I think sometimes kids, are watching us often, and I think sometimes they learn more from watching us and what we do rather than maybe what we tell them. So those are a couple things that we're trying to do. How about you?
Yeah, for sure. No, that's great. That's awesome. Actually, we actually have all the supplies to make our raised bed garden. We just haven't done it yet. It's literally sitting in our garage.
Nice.
Yeah, so that we do plan on doing that. But what we did start doing was composting, which has been huge, because having 4 kids 5 and under, the amount of food that they don't eat or that goes bad or they wait, whatever, throwing that out, you just feel like you're wasting so much food. So we're at least returning that back to the planet and composting that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's been a big change for us, because it doesn't feel like we're wasting so much anymore like it did before.
Yeah.
That's one thing we do. We do recycle as much as possible. Granted, I've heard that a lot of things that get recycled don't actually get recycled. So I don't know.
Yeah.
The intention is there at least to to return it back and reuse it.
Yeah.
What's that Jack Johnson song?
Yeah, it is.
Reuse,
reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Little throwback for you there.
Yeah. And even so, we've attempted even doing the reusable diapers.
Okay.
As well, which is a stretch and a struggle and not pleasant to deal with.
Yeah.
But just like small things like that, and even taking this into the work environment. So like at work, we have styrofoam cups that everybody uses, and trying to use a glass or a regular cup as well that you can just wash instead of just using that styrofoam and tossing it out. Or like, so if you're drinking coffee, a lot of these guys are grabbing styrofoam cups for coffee, grab a thermos or something else to use. So you're not, using things that you got to toss in the trash. So I think combination of all that. Another thing that a lot of people don't think about is you go to the grocery store and you get Kroger bags or wherever you shop at, the plastic bags they give you, which we do use those, and we end up taking them home and use them as trash bags usually, but taking reusable grocery bags to the store, loading all your food up in those.
Yeah.
That's another thing that people don't think about you can do easily.
Yeah, definitely.
So we try to incorporate all that as much as possible.
Yeah, I like how those are all kind of simple things.
Yeah, and then just being outside and like teaching your kids the importance of like the planet and taking care of it. So like we have these rubber mats around our playhouse, but the kids will like throw them around, say, "Oh, it's hot lava. We got to stay on the rubber mats." And actually, this happened today, and they're like, "Okay, Dad, we got to pick up the rubber mats and put them back on the rocks so that they don't kill the grass." So they're like aware of these things and
Oh
conscious
wow.
of it, and like we don't want to hurt the tree, we don't hurt the grass, they don't hurt the bugs or the frogs, or like they're very much aware of the planet and the importance of it all and taking care of it.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
yeah, just seeing that is huge. And then what was the other day? One of the I think it was Oliver. I think he grabbed a coffee bean actually that spilt on the ground. And he's like, "Dad, I'm gonna go plant this coffee bean and try and grow coffee." And so he took it outside and dug a little hole and planted it and put water on it. So because that we've planted a few things and they love it. And just seeing them try and take that
That's
responsibility on and like keep things alive and grow things. Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool to see actually.
Yeah, that's great.
At 5 years old.
Yeah. I feel like it's stuff like that that's gonna last.
Yes.
That they're gonna remember just because having such a positive experience with it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kinds of things that I feel like will stick around for them and ultimately have a good outcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Anything else you wanna cover while we're on here?
Shoot. You got any wild tips in regards to the outdoors, family, kids, anything like that?
Ooh, that's a good question. One wild tip in terms of family and kid camping. I think I would say, and this doesn't even have to be something you go out and buy, but I think my one wild tip for that would be to try to make the experience very enjoyable for the kids and even your spouse,
Yeah.
even them, if they're coming along, try to make it an enjoyable and easy time. But also understand that this may not be the most fun for you, but it's going to pay dividends down the road because when they're 10, 11, 12, they can go on those crazy excursions with you and they're going to know what to do. They're going to love it. They're not going to complain. They're going to want it to go. So I would say build it up and prepare accordingly so that it's easy, or I should say easier, and they're excited about it.
Yeah,
that'd be my tip.
Actually, that's really good advice. Going into some sort of outdoor excursion, adventure, a camping trip, and already mentally prepping yourself to say, this is not my ideal outdoor adventure for myself.
Yeah.
And this may be a little bit miserable for me.
Exactly.
Because I have to deal with 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, however many kids, and make it exciting and happy for them. But it may not be for me. That's actually, that's brilliant, actually.
Yeah.
So that, 5 years down the road, you'll be living the high life with them.
They'll start asking.
Yeah.
They'll start asking, when are we going camping? When can we go camping? And I think that's ultimately what we want. We want to instill the love of the wild of nature in our kids. So, yeah. What about you? What's your one wild tip for family camping?
Well, I would say it's similar, but it's more in the present in regards to like being over prepared when you have kids out in the outdoors.
Okay.
So when you don't have your conveniences of having a bathroom and a sink and towels and, but having, if you think you need 2 rolls of toilet paper, maybe bring 4, think you need one roll of paper towels, bring 2, or if you think you need 4 gallons of water, bring 6, or just over prepare when you have kids, because it makes your life easier on the camping trip. And even if it takes more preparedness and more prepping and more work in the beginning, during that camping trip, whatever that event is, it'll make it much smoother and easier and less stressful.
Yeah. Oh, I would completely agree. That's great advice. Yeah, I think both of those play right into each other. The preparation of it and making sure you have everything, and then just having the right mindset of knowing that this is for them, this is to have a great experience, or for them to have a great experience and really get out there with them. So
yeah,
I love it. Cool. Well, I think we can call it a wrap.
Oh, and also just making sure they're comfortable. So like looking at the weather and the temperature, making sure they have, if it's going to be potentially cold, make sure they have plenty of clothes to stay warm.
Yeah.
Little kids, when they're cold or too hot, it just makes for a miserable time.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah. That's definitely true. I can think of several occasions where we didn't quite do that and we regretted it greatly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a great tip.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Well, I guess we will wrap it up here. So thanks everyone for listening. Adam, it was fun. We'll do it again sometime soon. Everyone stay wild.
Thanks for listening to the Rewild Gear podcast. You could check out the show notes for today's episode at rewildgearpodcast.com. If you're ready to spend more time in the wild, our line of high-quality, minimalistic outdoor gear can help you do just that. Check us out at rewildgear.com.